That's it. If you have, I just wanted to point out, against the wall, we do have an ownership map on the left. Mike, can you point to that ownership map? The other one. Ownership map of the whole region. You can also see the historical board with some of those sites labeled. And then on the floor here, we have a much bigger version or a paper version of what we showed up on the screen. So that's our draft motorsports park master plan.
You guys can share this as meetings. Okay. How about I leave this one? Okay. Sounds good. Okay. Andrew? We're good. So I feel like, based on your presentation, there's definitely an elephant in the room that we're not talking about. And that's going to be the entire other side of the highway, which was that whole other strip of land that was owned by DHHL, Department of Hawaiian Homelands, that essentially runs the entire length of the Mokulele Highway. And that's going to be a commercial property, because we started to hear a long time ago ideas that was going to be an amusement park or an enormous retail center, or there was lots of different proposals for that. And so it was a little bit disconcerting. Now, originally when we were hosting this meeting, we did invite DHHL. Originally they confirmed that they were going to attend, and then they had backed out from attending this meeting. So I guess, our question becomes, in light of the fact that we're seeing a potentially massive development, commercial development that could occur the entire length of the Mokulele Highway, what kind of controls or what kind of input as a community could we have on such a large project?
Okay. Good question, and let me also start off by saying I did not mean to leave out public safety. Department of Public Safety, they have an interest in this with the proposed jail site. And right now, we are working with the different departments on, obviously we have our interests. We're working with the other departments and how everything is going to work together on either side of Mokulele Highway. It's no news for anybody over the last number of years that the state is strapped for cash, and budgets are strained. Everybody's looking for money to be able to do their projects. Hawaiian Homes, their project is providing housing for Native Hawaiian people. So, but there's no money to fund so many of the projects that they have. So what do? At least on the other islands, they've developed commercial projects and taken the lease money from that to help fund some of their housing developments. What they're looking to do on that side of Mokulele Highway, that the side that the Humane Society is on, they're looking to, right now they're sort of advertising it, kind of not real super publicly, but they're advertising it as essentially light industrial land. So we'd also heard the stories about a water park, and it was sort of the Mall of America in the Pacific, and we were like, oh my goodness. You know, not a good location for those kinds of things. So we, in discussion with them, you know, that so many of those things have pretty much gone by the wayside, and now we're looking at, they're advertising it for light industrial uses and probably some commercial uses.
So, Will, just to be clear about this, because I think the community reeling from the meeting that we previously had, you know, where we had a big parcel 15 years ago that got some rezoning for light industrial, and now we moved down the road and we're saying, I'm sorry, that's been approved, there's nothing we can do. And now we see another enormous parcel on the horizon that's going to significantly impact the community. And I think the folks here would like to know, well, what kind of a say can we have in determining our own future? How can we, I mean, what are the, we're outside of the SMA zone again. Is there rezoning at which point that we can have a voice in this? Or what, how do we have a voice in determining what happens in this parcel?
I think it's going to be important for the community to be involved.
But how are we involved?
Well, you have asked them here.
Right.
And they're not dissing the KCA. You know, there's a lot going on with Hawaiian Homes right now. They're changing directors, and there's just a lot of stuff going on. So they do intend to come back to the community and make a presentation here. I don't think they have to do anything in the way of zoning to be able to develop this property.
What's the zone for now?
Right now, it's agriculture.
So because
And it's,
because it's DHHL, I understand they operate
Correct.
by a different set of guidelines and regulations. So essentially, DHHL, the county doesn't have any oversight of what they develop on their parcel?
I will say that DHHL wants to build the county codes because that's for insurance purposes, and there's a whole lot of reasons to do that. But I think if they knew the community's sentiments, I think they would develop the site more sensitively. You know, they want to be a good neighbor. They don't want to just all of a sudden go, you know, they don't want to do the water park. They don't want to do, you know,
Right.
a mini Disneyland or anything like that.
Right.
You know, they want to do something that's going to fit in. So they're interested in the appearance. You know, they're not interested in creating a blight on Maui by any means. So.
Well, I just want to ask you, see if I can get the answer to this specific question, though. Is there at any point, I mean, does this have to go through county rezoning? Does this have to go through planning commissioner? At this point, is it just kind of the whim of DHHL, and then we need to be able to approach DHHL and make our case for why we want to see a change? But it's really at this point that the community doesn't have any official say. It's just going to move forward. The county doesn't have a say. Is that, am I interpreting that
That's
correct?
pretty close, yeah.
Okay, so this project is just going to, this commercial light industrial project will just be built as an income property for the Department of Hawaiian Homelands, however they want to do it, and nobody in the county really has any jurisdiction over how that's built out.
Official jurisdiction, perhaps not, but like I said, they want to work with the county. They want to work with the community. So I don't think it's, they're going to go, community buy, we're going to do whatever we want. They're going to be a lot more sensitive than that. So.
Let me add to that.
If you wouldn't mind. Yeah, turn that on. Yeah.
Okay, I would add also that since last year, all of the different agencies have been meeting to try and figure out what can and what should happen in this area. So it's DLNR, PSD, DHHL,
What's PSD?
Public Safety, the jail,
Okay.
jail folks, and DLNR, and then the county. But there's so many unanswered questions. So I think it's really hard for even DHHL to figure out, well, where's water going to come from, or any of those things, because I mean, we don't have water on our site. So, you know, the idea is, I mean, that's one specific example where we're asking the question, okay, how can we work on this together, whatever is done, but it would be nice to coordinate this infrastructure. But again, there's just so many there are just so many unanswered questions that, I mean, it's just hard to know, well, you know,
Yeah.
we're going to come back with this proposal because it's really unclear.
Yeah, certainly don't want to, I'm sorry.
Here we go. No.
I don't want to leave the impression that, you know, one day you're going to see bulldozers out there and they're going to be building, you know, the next Costco or something. It's just not going to happen that way. You know, all these different agencies are working in concert together, trying to figure out what are we all going to do out in this area. If you take a look at the property ownership map, you'll see DHHL, you'll see Hawaiian Homes, and et cetera, DLNR, et cetera, and you know, each of them has their own specific needs, and they're trying to work together with the county in order to do that. So, on the one hand, the question is, does Hawaiian Home need permission from the county to do things? Not really, but the other agencies do. If you're going to build these commercial areas, that's still all in the state agricultural district. It's going to have to be changed to the state urban district. There's going to be, as Dave was saying, it's designated in the community plan project district, which is an own specific ordinance that's going to go to the county council, and it's going to name all the different permitted uses, and so there is a long process ahead. Perhaps not on that one side of the highway where Hawaiian Homes is by itself, but at least on the Malka side.
And I think just the concern, I think, from the KCA is, so, you know, some of us might be somewhat jaded in the effectiveness of this whole process just from, you know, past experience. And here we have this, you know, enormous piece of property that's gonna, and I understand that the Department of Hawaiian Homelands does have an altruistic purpose and mission, and we would hope that, you know, they might have different standards than a private developer might have, but at the same time, there's an enormous piece of property that runs the entire side of the Mokulele Highway that's going to be developed for a commercial income producing property that the county and the community has virtually no what I call legal say, is what you're telling me, in the outcome of that property. And our only hope is that, you know, DHHL is going to want to work with the community to try to provide them something that, you know, is gonna be well suited. But it's a little bit of a precarious situation to be in when you consider kind of the development history of Kihei. And it's funny because when you think about it from the standpoint of the proposals that we've been hearing rumors of the Mall of America, which is going to be the Mall of the Pacific, or of the water park, or of these little, it kind of, I think, erodes any faith that we might have had until that point. It becomes a frightening proposition.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess your advice then is it's kind of incumbent upon this community to work directly with DHHL and try to see if we can have an impact on the result of that project.
We've been working with some of the top people with chemo, a couple of their planners and you know, their planning staff, and they've been very cooperative, very interested in what the county has to say, and the sentiments of the community. We've passed along some concerns that, at least that we've heard of, and they've been very receptive to that. So, you know, again, I don't want anybody to have just the impression that, you know, Mall of Pacific isn't going to just magically appear on that site.
Okay, Steve, do you want to open up to questions from the audience at this point? And we did get a little bit of a late start, but we should have a few minutes for questions. So, and then we have one microphone. So, our 0 microphones.
Any of these big property owners consider combining whatever they're doing, or being open to including something like a Polynesian Cultural Center of Maui, something like